Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mouse and His Pals. I'm with Steve and Jamie today. How you doing, fellas?
Jamie?
Oh, sorry, James. James, not Jamie.
Jamie's not very well.
Jamie's not feeling very well. But we have got a very special guest joining us today. He's been on the pod twice already, since it's his third time joining us on the pod. We've got Kevin John. How you doing, mate?
Wonderful, guys. Wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. It's a real pleasure for us for you to come and join us. It's fantastic.
It's always an honor, and I miss you guys when I'm not on. You know,
I
can't believe it's been more than a year already.
I know. December 16th, 2019 was the last time you joined us on the podcast, and obviously you've had a lot go on since then. The world has had a lot go on since then.
For sure.
So the first question for yourself is, because I know you told us last time you was on the show, you was moving cross country. How has that gone?
It has been the most magnificent decision of my life. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, little town of Erie, Pennsylvania, tiny little town up on Lake Erie, northeast of the United States. 12 years ago, I think it was, we moved to Florida. I just needed to get to warm weather, and I wanted to live on the ocean. And so it just was kind of a natural move down to Florida. I think we spent 8 years there, actually. I think we spent 8 years there. It seemed like 12. Very hot, very humid, very flat, very boring. I lived in Southern California for 2 years with my parents when I was a child. And I just loved the place, you know. And we've traveled here over the last 4 or 5 years. We've come out a couple of different times for work. We vacationed here for a month. And there was just something about Southern California. It is a different place, different than anywhere else I've been on the planet. And we finally made the move back here in August. And we decided to first take get a cabin here in the mountains of this Los Padres National Forest. So we are in this tiny little community of like 600 people in the middle of this national forest. We're an hour and a half away from Los Angeles, about 45 minutes away from the next town, and it has been bliss. It's quiet. It's gotten us back to nature. There's animals that walk through our yard all the time, like bobcats and mountain lions and all manner of birds and owls and all kinds of bears, all kinds of forest friends. We've got
a squirrel coming out yard the other day.
It is remarkable how much peace I've found from being here for the last 7 months. I can't believe it's been 7 months already. But Southern California is the only place we'll ever want to be in the world, I think. I think we're always going to have a place here in the mountains, but we're going to, after COVID, we're going to buy a place in Santa Barbara, which is on the coast, you know. I don't want to be on the ocean. You know, I was 300 yards from the ocean in Florida, maybe about a mile from the ocean here. And it has been truly wonderful. The people here are amazing, warm, different. Every little town has different culture to it, and the topography is so vast. I mean, I am in the mountains. We had 2 feet of snow a week ago. It's now gone, and in an hour I can be on the beach. You know, so it's just this. It's been really good for my soul, but my creativity has gone through the roof. I'm doing things with paint that I never imagined I'd ever be able to do. So it's been so wonderful.
That's excellent.
Yeah. The only other notable thing about this place that we found is that as we walk up the mountain, we're literally at the top of a mountain here, and it's maybe about maybe 500 yards to the very tip of the mountain, so not very far at all. And as we walk through the woods here, we are finding ancient Stone Age artifacts laying everywhere. People have been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This community that we live in has only been here since 1971. So we as modern civilization have only inhabited this for a very short time, where prior to that, for thousands of years, the Chumash Indian people had lived here. And what we're finding is prior to that, even Stone Age, Neanderthal type, I hate to call them cavemen, because I think that diminishes their intellect and the amount of creativity that they had. But we're finding stone sculptures from artists that lived here 15,000 years.
I didn't see one of your posts when you found that the other day.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And those are the tools. I haven't really showed any of the sculptures. I mean, sculptures of heads of big cats like mountain lions, and we have little sculptures of woolly mammoth. And woolly mammoth disappeared from here, estimated 12 to 14,000 years ago, were the last species here. So these people had eyes on woolly mammoths. These artists had eyes on these creatures that have not existed here. So it has been an incredible spiritual experience to know that I am occupying land, literally my backyard, where artists have created here for thousands and thousands of years. And I am honored and grateful beyond words to be here. And I don't even know how I found this place. It just happened. So it's
unbelievable.
So that move.
Yeah, it's so happy for you, Joyce. I've seen a lot of your posts of the animals in your garden and stuff like that. It's just and it looks like an incredible place to be.
It really is. I'm so fortunate, and I highly recommend if anyone can get out into the forests, into the woods, into nature again, spend a weekend, go camping, build a fire, look at the stars, get out of the mess, unplug. Even if it's for a very short time. We weren't here maybe a week before. I mean, we just felt a physical change in our whole chemistry. It's something that I think humans need, and I highly encourage getting back to that.
So where you are now, just to give us like a bit of, so we know where something is.
Yes.
How far are you away from Disneyland, California itself?
We are. If I were to drive to Disneyland, it takes us about an hour to get off the mountain, because it's up and down and winding through these roads and everything. But once we're down off the mountain, I'm probably about another hour and 15 minutes away from Disneyland, maybe 2 hours. We haven't been since we've moved here because Disneyland is closed due to COVID. But we're, like I said, we're about an hour and 15 minutes from Los Angeles, hour and a half from Los Angeles. It's just, California is that where you have these major metropolitan areas, and then you throw a stone and you can be in a wilderness. It's whether that be a desert or the mountains like this, and so it's very easy to get to and from places.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So just while we're on sort of still where you are with the COVID, that obviously the pandemic that has been happening, what's it been like in your sort of town that you are to 600 people? People sort of sticking to themselves, sticking to the rules enough, like that you've got that?
Yeah, everyone. It seems that a lot of folks here are very conscious. We mask up, we social distance. We kind of prepared for this. My fiance and I, we kind of prepared for this where, we can literally lock down for 40 days, 2 months if we want to. We have enough food and water and everything like that where we wouldn't even have to leave the cabin if we didn't want to. But there's a tiny little village here that has a post office and a bakery and that sort of thing, a little general store, and everyone's very kind, and being careful, Now, when you go into the cities, I can't always say that that's a rule, but much more than it was in Florida, where when we were in Florida, when we would mask up and walk into a grocery store or wherever we need to do whatever we need to do to get our supplies and everything, we'd be ridiculed and hollered at and looked at and things like that. Florida is not a very forgiving place where that's concerned, but here I'm finding that people are I think they understand the severity. And California is very dense in population too, so it's very difficult for that not to spread.
Yeah, I think
one of the reasons why we decided to get this cabin and escape for, our plan was for 6 months, and 7 months have gone by already, and I have no plans on leaving this place anytime soon.
Excellent, because James and Steve, like here, but I think a lot more people are now starting to wear masks. That first sort of lockdown we were in, it was very, very much like, it doesn't matter. Mixed. Yeah.
They do or they do not wear masks there?
They do now. It's a lot more now. But
it's kind of compulsory now, though, for most shops. You do get the odd one, like the odd people, like they're a minority, though. The ones that don't are generally a minority, and then they give me the ump because I'm thinking if I'm wearing one, you should be wearing one.
Right.
So it's the point now where we just want it done.
Yeah. It's time.
And I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, KJ. I know, because I know yourself, when I've seen posts that you had actually had a positive COVID-19, same as myself.
Yeah, Buffy and I are both survivors. She had I would call on a scale from 1 to 10, she had maybe an 8 case. I was at 10 case. I was in the hospital for 4 days. They told me that if I hadn't come in when I came in, because I resisted for a long time, because this was before they had announced COVID. This is going back March, almost a year now. Yeah. The first weekend in March is when I finally went to the hospital. I couldn't breathe anymore. I was coughing up horrible stuff, and it was terrible. I coughed so hard that I popped a rib here. So I was struggling with that pain, and every time I coughed, it would hurt, and so I had no energy. I couldn't move. I wasn't doing any work. I had just come off of 2 months of signing events at Disney World for the Festival of the Arts. I had a pretty. I think I had what maybe, I don't know, 16, 17 different signing days in each month. So about 30 signing days I think I had, and I just kept feeling worse and worse and worse. Finally, I went to the hospital that first weekend of March, and I wanted to leave. I just wanted some medicine and let me leave because I had a project due on Monday. And they said, if you leave, you're going to die. You're going to die. So I had to stay, and thank God it took me until July. I was able to shake the residual effects. Yeah. I mean, I still can't smell. I'm still a little nasally. You can hear that. You can hear a little raspiness, but it's light years difference from where I was before we left Florida.
Yeah. So myself, I was positive for COVID just after Christmas, literally a couple of days after. It's not as bad as yourself. Me and my fiance Steph had it. I'm still struggling now. Tired, no energy, stuff. And you two boys have sort of evaded it so far, right?
Yeah, I've worked through the whole thing and not come into contact with anything really.
So
I've been quite lucky.
I teach in a school, but obviously the schools were closed. So since then, I've not been in work, or very limited times. Oh, wow. So I've not really been exposed to it. But my wife's she's like full term pregnant now. She's due in like 4 weeks. So I'm trying to avoid it like the plague, if I'm honest. But one of my best friends is a doctor in London, and he said he's had like 4 cases where pregnant women have come in and have had to emergency C-section them because to save both baby and the mum. So it is serious at times. It's quite bad. So he's like, whatever you do not go out. Or if you need to go out, just go out when you need to literally go shopping. Yeah. Don't go out unnecessarily. So it's a lot serious than people think.
Yeah, that is true. I wish you all the luck in the world with that. We'll send you some positive vibes, man, for the health of your child. How exciting to bring them into this beautifully changing world. You know, this COVID thing, it's all for a reason. That I'm sure history will tell us that reason, but I have to look upon it as a positive, I guess, in some regard. I guess you have to move forward, but we will be thinking of you over the next couple of weeks for sure.
We've got a question here from Jamie, the one that's obviously not here today. KJ, I just wondering, I think that was directed at you.
Yes.
Did you notice the Festival of the Arts was different last year, even before COVID was big?
I think I did 4 festivals. I did 2019, 18, and 17. And it has grown each year, you know, in expanse. I love the additions of the food elements, and for 2 years in a row, they for instance, I taught a seminar, a class about watercolor painting on location. Did that 2 years in a row. So they've added some wonderful elements. Now, I bowed out this past year. I did not do the 21 festival because of COVID. I can't take that chance, you know. So I from what I understand from the other artists, it had reduced in scope and size a little bit. We got a lot of wonderful messages that people missed us there and everything, and our time will come again where we'll see everyone again. But yeah, it has been a little bit different. I love the momentum that it had going into COVID. Unfortunately, COVID knocked it down a little bit, but I think next year it'll be more wonderful than ever. I'm looking forward to participating again.
While we're on just the sort of Disney World chat,
yes,
with COVID being as it is at the moment, and obviously it's the 50th year anniversary this year, do you see Disney? Obviously, hopefully they're fully open, full capacity. Do you see them still going as big celebration wise, even if they are at sort of a half capacity?
Boy, I don't know. I don't have any official word on that at all. I really kind of just told my folks there that I'm just going to take a step back until COVID is over. So I've kind of been out of the loop a little bit. I had put together sketches and concepts for 50th anniversary art that I was going to contribute, but again, I decided that I'm not going to participate, and it bums me out. I mean, I was really looking forward to that, but after having these close scares like we did, I have to be safe. I want to be here for the long run, and I've got people that I love that I need to be here for. So
yeah, it's a shame. So me and Steph ourselves are bummed out. We were meant to be there in October this year after our wedding, which we've had to postpone because of COVID. So we're gutted we're not going to actually get to sort of witness the 50th year. But then at the same time, if it's not going to be the Disney that we know and love, it's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? With that, is like as much as I missed it. Like, me and Emma was watching our Disney vlogs on our channel earlier, and like it was just so busy everywhere. It was great, the buzz, everything. Like we was all excited about getting off the rides and going there and not doing the meet and greets properly with the characters. Like that sort of side of the magic is just it's not there. So I don't know how I'd feel. So I don't blame you for like not.
And there's like one vital thing that's missing from it is the smiles on people's faces. If they're all covered by masks,
yes,
it's gone.
Yes. That's a really good point, Steve. There's something special about that place. Disneyland is incredible, and that is a magical place beyond words. Disney World is this, I don't know, it's this wonderful city where you can escape the rest of the planet while you're there, and really, again, a lot like being here in the woods. You isolate yourself from all that stuff outside, your job and conflict and all that other stuff that's going on. And one of those things is that community that you have. We're all there for the same reason. We're all there for the magic, and there's smiles and hugs and handshakes and dinners with friends and drinks and food and wandering and rides and all of that. And COVID has I think has probably taken the heart out of that during COVID. Disney World was there. It's been there for 50 years, and it's a place that we all love to exist in, and a place we love to visit and retreat to, it'll be there. It'll be there. This time will pass, and it will be just a blip in our rear view mirror eventually, and then we'll all be able to go back. And how wonderful will it be, though, to go back and see everybody? Yeah. All this family that we miss.
Do you know what? I'm wondering if it's going to sort of add a bit of anxiety with a lot of people, because are people going to develop like a fear of big crowds because of it? And like even going into a supermarket sometimes can make you feel uneasy, even now, like where you're masked up, like going into the situation where you've got the next person literally 2 feet in front of you, standing in the queue to get food or standing in the queue to get on a ride. It's just that sort of, although it's only been a year, I feel like it's going to take a good year post the injections.
Yes.
For everyone to feel normal again, that we can just go out and do our daily things,
That's one of the smartest things you've ever said, James. And I completely agree.
It's every week to me. So there's a pattern going.
There is a certain level of anxiety that we get even when we have to go to the store to get food, and I think that that probably will remain for a little while, as you were saying, James. However, I think people are getting the folks that I know that have gone to visit again. The feedback is it feels like the 90s. I don't know if you guys went to Disney in the 90s, but you had elbow room. It was more of a strolling experience rather than a running and crowd experience, right? That elbows and so it seems that when they limit the crowds, that the experience has to be a lot like it used to be in the 90s before.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you think though that obviously for us it's a bit of we have to save up because it costs us probably $5,000 to get to do the holiday for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. That's in pounds.
That's in pounds, yeah. So
that's if you're doing it. That's if you're doing it cheaply as well.
Yeah, what's that? About $7,000.
$7 to $8, yeah.
So it's not cheap, and so for us, we want to, like Daryl, he doesn't want to go all the way over there, and as much as we probably love all that room. I guess when you're an annual pass holder or you are 2.5 hours away, you can take that risk just to go for a day, and it probably suits the people that live there better because they've not got the tourists there.
Especially the annual pass holders, for sure. It would suit them down to the ground. They'd actually get to experience the parks again with a low capacity and enjoy the parks what they are.
Yeah.
Because every day they'd go, and especially annual pass holders, like you look at. You bring up people like Tim Tracker on YouTube, bring up people like Pete Tadone off the Disney Movie Hour,
right.
Who are past hours. They go all the time, and they say it's so busy, you can't get anything done. You go for a couple of hours, you can't do anything. When now they can go, and they're getting stuff done a lot more, and seem to be enjoying it a lot more. But You're right, James. For people like us who get to go probably once every 2-3 years, you want the full experience.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know if Disney then sees the value in maybe capping those admissions daily like they used to, where it wouldn't be everyone who can get there, and it is that more rushed, cramped environment. I'm wondering if they won't see the value of having maybe a little less people but a better crowd experience or lack thereof. I'm hoping that that's a positive residual of COVID, that maybe that more intimate experience could be had like Disney World used to be.
We've got a question from Jamie here, KJ. He says so what do we all miss the most? He says for him it's the fireworks and the magic that made it for him. What do you miss the most about not being able to go to the parks obviously as much now as probably the least you've ever done?
I really love some of the specific environments that they create, that the Imagineers have. I love the area of Hollywood studios where Rock and Roller Coaster and the Tower of Terror are. I could live in that area. You go down into the area where Rock and Roller Coaster is, and you hear that Aerosmith music playing, and it's just, the anticipation, the story that is told. You go through the studio. It's just, I know it's fantasy, but I always buy in right away. That's Steven Tyler there, I buy in right away. And the same thing with Tower. Day, night experience, evening, sunset, it's all different there at the Tower. And I miss going through that environment and escaping and allowing myself emotionally to buy into the environment that we're in. So for me, it's that little bit of stepping into the storybook, so to speak, or stepping into the film. I that's the part that I miss most of all. It's just it's synthetic, but the Imagineers have done such an amazing job of making that experience so real for us that that I crave that. So what about you guys?
It's even better for yourself because obviously you've done the artist of the bellhop in the Tower.
Yeah.
So just to say you're part of that as well, it must feel amazing to be in that area.
My one of my biggest honors. On my headstone, engraved there will be my contribution to those stories, and being able to interpret those stories for fans, for us, for the people that love those stories, to interpret those stories in art so that you can take home and hang them on your wall and relive those stories, in between the times that we get to visit. One of my greatest honors, seriously. I can remember going on Tower the first time in 1998 and just being overwhelmed and feeling that if there was any way that I could ever be attached to this thing, and fast forward 25, 20 years, and now I am forever attached to this thing. I mean, I have folks that will Instagram me, or they'll send messages, or meet me in the parks, and they'll show me tattoos of my artwork that of the bellhop.
Crazy.
Really, that's really strange, isn't it?
Really.
That is my favorite piece of yours as well.
The bellhop is my favorite. My favorite piece for Disney art that I've done.
Really?
And I love the mansion, and I love the the 50th anniversary stuff I did for mansion and all that. The Jungle Cruise. It's all wonderful, but that bellhop piece, man, that it still speaks to me, and I look at it and I wonder about it like I wasn't the artist, as I'm looking at it as a fan.
So if I get to own one more bit of KJ art, it'd be that.
Oh, thank you.
One more question about the parks I've got for myself before we go on to sort of your event and your art.
Yeah.
Now, for me, so Jamie's favourite ride is the Tower of Terror. Mine is Splash Mountain, and obviously we know going forward they're going to be moving on from the theming of Song of the South. Mm-hmm. What do you think that would? Because we know why they're moving on, and I understand why. But do you think that would ruin the ride as a whole? And is it for fans like us as memories, or do you think it's a good step for the company itself?
Boy, that's something that I've pondered. Disney has upgraded or changed, several attractions that emotionally mean so much to us. Disney sells not only the magic and the escapism, but Disney sells the nostalgia. You ride an attraction, that you rode when you were 10 years old, and now you're 30, 40, 50 years old, and you're riding that same attraction. You're instantly that child again.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling. So you have that, strong emotional attachment to the wonder of these attractions, and oftentimes want to share that with your children or your grandchildren or whatever, and give them that same experience. So from that aspect, they're so beautifully crafted. Now they're pieces of art, and now you're taking that piece of art down, and you're saying that, well, now it's time to change that art and to paint over that art and to create new art with it. which as an artist I struggle with. As a human, though, I understand. As a human, I understand sometimes that the palette of the culture changes and we evolve and we realize that things that maybe we didn't see before we're now able to we're now shown, and it might not. Yeah, it doesn't offend us, but it might offend
others. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So as much as I love and cherish those memories of those attractions that have gone away or have been updated or changed, they're precious moments that you realize. And isn't that life? I mean, life is about endings and new beginnings, and it's just unfortunately. But there's wonderful people like you who have chronicled these attractions for us in music and video and footage and discussion, and I can relive those attractions with this community, this synthetic way, and remember it that way, and then hopefully enjoy the enhanced versions. I'm excited.
Yeah,
the enhanced versions.
Yeah,
but there is with any departure, there is sorrow around. The old attractions being gone.
Yeah, sure.
You can look at it in two ways, actually. You can look at it as like, we're actually lucky because the people that are not going to know any different, that have never been on these attractions and not going to know any different, like they're going to have a brand new attraction that will probably be, better mechanics, maybe better animatronics, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But they've not got the nostalgia as well, whereas we're going to get two experiences. So in a way, as much as it is sad that the attractions that we love are going, we can still say, we've all been on them, we all remember them, and we've got the luxury of going on a new one as well. So it's best of both worlds, really.
Yeah. El Rio de Tiempo, the water ride in the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot was beyond charming and wonderful. It was one of my favorite attractions at Epcot. It didn't matter when or how we went, we always rode that attraction, oftentimes alone, like no one else around. And then they did the upgrade where they infused Donald and everything, and the Three Caballeros, which again it's a great treatment. But boy, am I glad that as you said, James, that I had experience of the more pure version of that attraction.
I think we can all say probably similar with Maelstrom.
Yeah,
I've not experienced Frozen Ever After just yet, but Maelstrom was just an incredible ride. I believe Jamie feels the same way. Yeah. Steve, you definitely feel the same way, don't you?
Yeah, I was fully against any IP going into Epcot. I feel it should be native to the areas that it's in, and throwing Frozen in there just felt like a cheap way of trying to boost that area. And it really takes the feel of what Epcot is out of it.
I personally agree.
Yeah,
I like the World Fair nature that Epcot was intended, and that it had. I also understand the business end of it, and boosting the IP is what is what the company is all about. But boy, I love those. I love that World Fair experience of traveling without having to travel.
Have you done the
strange one? I'm sorry, go on.
That's what I was going to say. Have you done the drinking around the world yet?
I don't partake.
Eating around the world.
Yeah, the funny thing is, every now and then when we would go in the parks and for us, we would drive in the hour and stay over and maybe have a couple day getaway. If that was not work related for us. And I distinctly remember my fiance, we were all fired up. We were going to go to Germany. We are going to get some hot pretzels and we're going to have a big pint of beer. And we went, we got the beer and we had the pretzels and we sat there and it's 105 degrees and humid and I'm dripping and the beer's warm. And I'm like, this is terrible. I just paid $18 for this thing and I'm pouring it out because it's just,
oh, no.
I'm not a drinker. Now, that's another thing,
Yeah.
I'll devour my way around the world, but the sport of drinking, just not something I don't know. Was never. I was an athlete, so I wasn't allowed to drink and all that. So, and then by the time you're no longer an athlete, why drink anymore? If you hadn't already.
Yeah. I would say eating around the world is a bit more. That's something that I would rather do than drink around the world as well.
I did the Food and Wine Festival and the Flower and Garden, where they set up all the little areas and they give you a little passport book, don't they?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much we spent in one day, but we didn't eat any breakfast. We got to Epcot, and the second all the stalls open, we were like, right, we're going to have one or two things from every single area, and we'd tick it off the passport. And by the time we got, I think, round to France, we were done.
They do have some amazing. I will confess that in France they do have some amazing drinks. There's a pomegranate slushy something that my fiance will get, and oh my god, it's I will definitely partake in that. But it's more the fruity drinks that I like. I'm like if it tastes like Kool-Aid, I'm good.
Yeah.
James, have you got any more sort of Disney questions before we move on?
No, I was just going to say before, Epcot's a bit of an odd one for me because I might be the minority that actually does like the IP stuff that's introduced into it. I went in 2017, August 2017, and one of the things that I remember from when me and my wife went was that for me, I didn't mind the park as much because a lot of the attractions there I'd already been on before, but this was her first experience there. And to be honest, she was a little bit, not disappointed. Disappointed is probably the worst. It's probably not the best word to sort of use to describe it, but more like there wasn't enough for her. Like the food and wine was, the food and the drinking side of it was okay. She liked the certain areas. She liked going to visit them. Like she liked Mexico and places like that. But I don't know. She felt like she didn't, I guess, wanted a Disney fix, and it kind of didn't feel like that. Whereas I know that that's what some people love about that it's not a Disney fix. It's not thrown in your face, and it's your chance to get away from all of that. Right. But I don't know, but for me, I'm kind of in the middle with that.
Okay, one question to follow on for that for James from James's comment. Then, living with the land, yes or no? Love it, hate it, not a fan, are a fan?
Me?
Yeah,
huge fan. Living with the land,
man.
Yeah.
James does not like it.
James does not like it.
I just go to Disney World to sit on that. I've flown 9 hours on a plane to sit on that. That's how I look at it.
I love it that much.
Incredible ride, yeah.
Yeah, I love it that much. My actual Wi-Fi is living with the land. That is my Wi-Fi name.
I get why it was made, right? And we've had this discussion many a time on the podcast, right? But when it comes to Jamie, get in, KJ. So I'm like the minority in this podcast that I'm not a fan of the ride. So, but when it comes to this, I feel like it suits Walt's vision of Epcot, not the Epcot that we've got.
Right.
And that's why I think I'm not on board with it as much. I think like with Epcot that we've got Mission Space, the test track, Finding Nemo, and the World Showcase. It just doesn't, for me, that Living with the Land kind of just doesn't sort of fit. But in original Epcot, it does. So I don't know. I can get on board with it, but it's just not my ride. It's not a ride for me. That.
James, did you ever experience it when it had a live moderator? The cast member on the boat. Actually doing the audible. Do you remember that, or did you?
I'm not. I've been twice.
Okay.
And the first time I went was in 2010.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So if it was after that, or no, or before that, sorry, no.
Yeah, I want to say probably around 03 or 04. Okay. I think, is when they went to just a recorded message where it's the same message every time you went on. That ride, that attraction used to have a cast member on each skiff.
Yeah, I think that would be a bit more inclusive, and I think that's like, because it's like a tour guide almost, isn't it?
Yes, it was a more intimate experience. It wasn't like Jungle Cruise where it's joking, but it was more, it was more directed, personal, intimate experience. And you also have to, I think our age difference probably has some to do. It's generational as well. I'll be 52 at the end of the month, so I was a very young teen in '82 when we started seeing all the messaging and propaganda about Epcot, and living with the land and those the hydroponic plants and the boat ride through that was a main staple of their marketing. It was so different. It was come and learn. And you can go to Magic Kingdom and get Mickey Mouse, but here you're going to come and learn different experiences about the planet. And so for me, it was kind of that longing, again, that tied back to when I was young, and that's what you would see on the advertisements on television and everything. So when we went, I went to Walt Disney World for the first time in 1998. So it was something that I couldn't wait to see. So there was wonderment there. But folks that have only known this experience that it is now, I can understand why it might fall short. It might fall a little short.
I need to go on this ride again, because honestly, the last memory I have of it is very, very, very vivid. And like, these three treat it like it's a 5-star, superb thrill ride attraction. So I need to
thrill ride education.
Attraction in the whole of Walt Disney World.
Say that again, Daryl.
It's a top 10 attraction in the whole of Walt Disney World for me.
I agree.
I
agree. It's not for me. It's a not miss. We would, being locals, we would go, to a park for a day, and that was an attraction we always rode at least once, if not twice. It again, though, we're 40, 50 years old. I love Rock and Roller Coaster, but I'm not doing that 5 times anymore. I did that once, twice, awesome. But at this point, I want more of that relaxed, strolling experience. And again, for me, it was, putting myself in those environments and listening to the story and the music and closing your eyes. And again, though, if I have one day in Epcot and I've got 10 hours there, and you've got 12 attractions to see, and I'm flying from the UK, is that high on my list? Probably not. So I get it. I do understand it, James.
Yeah.
I see it as get on Soaring, come off Soaring, straight onto Living with the Land. Done.
That's right.
Easy.
And then go have a few drinks.
Living with the Land, Soaring, Living with the Land.
Oh, even better.
Let's move on from sort of the Disney chat for now, because we could talk Disney all day, as we do a lot of the time. When we spoke sort of by message, you said you've got a big event coming up.
Yeah.
We have obviously no idea what it is. We've been quite excited to hear what it is. So if you're quite happy to sort of tell us what it is and explain what you're doing in the coming days.
Sure. Well, along this journey, and I've told the story before that creating fine art for Disney was never in my plan. I was very sports heavy, creating action portraiture for athletes and pro teams around the country. And the Disney call came, and it was a tremendous blessing, a tremendous honor. It's been one of the greatest honors of my life to create fine art for Walt's company. And the extension from there is that my art has been introduced to a lot of eyes that matter. Lucasfilm reached out, I think maybe 3 years ago now, maybe 4 already, and asked me to create a few special paintings for the opening of Galaxy's Edge. So that was my first foray into Lucasfilm Star Wars art. And if you rewind the clock to, 8-year-old Kevin John, I was 8 years old in 1977, I think, when I saw New Hope. Everything that I drew, everything that I played with the little figurines, everything I played in my backyard, it was all Star Wars. So that was something I never expected in my wildest dreams, to be able to work with George Lucas and his team through Disney to create art for them. Well, the response to the art and the imagery was very strong. And now I've worked with Lucasfilm for a bunch of different projects, everything from textile to fine art and concepting. And one of those great partnerships is with Topps trading cards. And a lot of you will remember the little paper trading cards that we had when we were kids, or football cards, baseball cards. Topps did have Star Wars cards in 1977 as well, which I hoarded and hid from my parents, right? Because they didn't want me to, partake in such foolishness, as well as drawing Star Wars constantly in school when I should have been doing other things, because of course, drawing Star Wars was never going to get me anywhere. So I showed them, didn't I? But Topps approached me. They had this amazing platform where these cards are all traded digitally. It's an app that you just download for free on your phone. It's called the Topps Star Wars Card Trader, and they issue all of this new imagery on all these digital trading cards, and the packages unwrap right in front of you digitally, and you hear that paper. The only thing you don't do is there's no chewing gum to chew, right? But the entire experience is still there. However, this community is global. So you may get this rare card that maybe now you've got two of, and you can trade them with people around the world for all kinds of different, you trade for other images and other cards and build your collections. And it's really incredible because it's now this global community that everyone has access to. And so they approached me, I think 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, and asked me if I would like to essentially become their featured artist. They had all types of digital imagery and photograph imagery on cards, but they had no fine art. And so they asked me if I would be interested in contributing as, a fine artist for Lucasfilm Topps Star Wars.
Nice.
And of course, I jumped all in. My first set premiered just at the end of August. It sold out immediately, and it was the most successful card set that they've ever had.
Wow.
I'm honored and blessed by that, and I'm going to show you guys some of that imagery. From there, the last 6 months, we have been working on building collections of Kevin John art for all of the other Topps digital platforms. There is, you guys will be especially interested, there is Topps Kick, which is Major League Soccer. Okay. There is Topps Skate, which is National Hockey League. Walking Dead, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney.
KJ.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. There you go. I mean, that's not
93.
That's still in the wax.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
I think Steve's just gone to get his ones as well. I think he's got some.
But yeah, I can't find mine.
Universal to get hold of you, and you need to do a new fresh batch.
Yes. I mean, they are throwing so much work at me that I literally have only worked on these products since I've been for the last 7 months. They are about to launch all of these products on their digital apps the last weekend in February. So Thursday, February 24th, 25th, Saturday and Sunday, 26 and 27. The Topps digital platforms are hosting what they call WinterCon. So it's because we can't do in-person conventions anymore, they're doing on Twitch these amazing online conventions where they host people like myself or Ashley Eckstein or some of the actors from The Mandalorian or WWE wrestlers. Oh, that's another thing I've contributed to, Major League Baseball and WWE as well. So all of their platforms I've created art for.
That's incredible.
They're going to launch all of these this Kevin John, all these Kevin John series is throughout all of their platforms during this WinterCon event. I can't show you any of that art, but I can use it, and I would beg you guys to and your followers to, if you go to, the easiest way to find me is you go to my website, kevinjohn.com. So it's kevin-john.com. And from there, you'll find links to especially my Facebook page, because that's where I spend a lot of my social media time. We will be promoting WinterCon with the links and the times and the schedule and everything right there on social media as well as on my website. So you'll all be able to join in live and watch this. And watch it unroll. You'll be able to download these apps and be able to start collecting Kevin John cards right away as the app as the apps are introduced. These different.
Have you got a date for the WinterCon?
Yes, WinterCon is Thursday, February 24, Friday, February 25, 26, and 27. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be on segments live that whole weekend talking about the product. They'll be dropping. We'll be doing giveaways. I'll be doing live sketches, all kinds of stuff. So it's really, like I said, we've been planning this for 7 months, and it's very, very exciting. I've done a lot of sketch product for it, and then there will be forthcoming fine art, like full paintings, which I'll show you, like I did with my first series for Top Star Wars. If you wouldn't mind, let me show you some of the series that here.
Go for it.
The first series they asked me where I wanted to go. They wanted to kind of talk about old trilogy visually, because old trilogy, the original trilogy, is still so very popular. So I said, I kind of relived 1977 as a third grader, and I said, for people that had not experienced that for the first time as a child, and you had no reference of Star Wars or anything like that, I sat in that theater with my uncle and my little brother, and just blown out of my seat immediately. The grand music, these spaceships that looked real, that I had no concept on how they were making this done. It wasn't Harryhausen, right? I mean, this was, far steps above, and you're just you're trying to catch your breath at the wonders of the guy that's breathing in black and with the cape and the thing, and they're shooting the white stormtrooper things, and then there's robots, and how the hell are they doing that, and lasers, and what is that sword? I want that. And just as you're able to catch your breath, they settle you down, and George walks you into this cantina, and there you are introduced to this galaxy of characters that are out there that are living in this world. And it was a wonder that I'll never live through again. Much like Jurassic Park, when that Tyrannosaurus Rex first breaks through.
Yeah, that was like
you're wondering, how the hell I see the dinosaur. I don't know how to clean the dinosaur.
It still holds up today, like, so well.
Yes. So I said, that's when I introduce these new Star Wars fans to the Kevin John Star Wars art, I want to give them that experience of the cantina. I want to show them that experience that I had walking through that cantina for the first time. So immediately, so these are the original paintings here. I own the originals, and the originals are for purchase, and you can find them on my website. You can inquire about them. They're between $3,500 and $5,000 each. Some full, but I still have some remaining where I can show you. I'm trying to. There we go.
Yeah.
So
good.
That's brilliant.
You're walking into the cantina. You walk past the little crowd of Jawa, right? And you hear that tonal music, right? And so you do hear that music.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And these are all individual trading cards. They're now sold out, but these were individual cards with tops, so you can really see the detail.
Yeah, I was just noticing that in hands. That's amazing.
Okay, how long does it take you to do these?
These are about 100 hours, 150 hours each painting. And this is all watercolor.
So you've said you've done. I'm thinking, how do you have
that's watercolor.
This is all I paint exclusively in watercolor. It's just my weapon of choice, and
it works.
It's very
that is unbelievable.
Thank you. It's very different than traditional watercolor painting, right? It's kind of my own style that now is getting some repute. Of course, then you're yelled at by our friend
behind the bar.
Yeah.
And I love the foreground characters. Just shadowed a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that. Shortly thereafter, you're going to meet this bristly fellow. Grew up knowing him as Walrus Man. He actually has a name that I can't think of right now. I apologize. I'll zoom in on the bristles on
the effect you've got on the hair, and that's with watercolor.
Yes,
that's like mine would be a big blob of just color.
Taking you a little fine brush.
Thank you. And I know that you really can't see the color here, but if you go to my website, you'll be able to scroll through this gallery of these and actually see them, blow them up, look at them, full color and everything, because the camera just doesn't do it justice. Shortly thereafter, we see Ben Kenobi talking to this space pilot, and this space pilot is introducing him to Chewbacca. Right? Thank you. Nice job. Jeez, I love that. And Ben will very soon. Chewbacca will introduce him to Han Solo. Creeping in the background, though, is our just waiting for his opportunity to go and talk to Han Solo.
Yeah, no, they're so good, mate.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
So
I love I love this art. Thanks, Jamie. Thank you. One of the reasons why I get the contracts that I do is that I can create the human face. Portrait painting comes naturally to me for whatever reason. I'm blessed, and so you'll see some of that here. The Tonica sisters. There we go.
Wow.
Love the hand.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you. The inquisitive characteristic of the one here in the foreground, right? As she looks to figure out what's going on. I have to say this. I got to choose which characters I featured in this series, and this guy is my favorite. He was my favorite as the 3.5-inch plastic figure that I received in 1978.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew him as Hammerhead. He's actually
like a hammerhead,
Yeah.
There we go. Take a look at that.
Yeah.
The detail is just incredible.
The lighting, I think it gives it the edge. Because I'm quite artistic myself, but more pencil art rather than painting. I've never really done painting before. It's not probably one of my strengths. But one of the things I've noticed with pencil artwork, it's using the eraser to highlight the light coming in. that's something that I do in my, and that's what I could see you've done with the paint there. It's wicked. So good.
George Lucas was masterful in his lighting, and they even glossened the camera a little bit to show that the reflection on the eyes and things of that nature. And all I'm doing is I'm just stepping that forward. I am looking at art that was created by the concept artists, interpreted by the actors and the makeup artists, and interpreted by George in his lens, and I'm just taking that one more step, and now it's Kevin John's interpretation of what George saw in his lens. And thank you, Jamie. The Vader on my website, that was for Galaxy's Edge. This one is my favorite, probably will remain my favorite piece of any Star Wars piece I have. I'm a Luke Skywalker fan, and Luke has always been, in my soul. I connected with him as a character immediately. He's the eternal optimist, and so one of the pieces that you'll see online that you won't see here is Han and Chewbacca sitting at that corner table.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
But you'll be able to see it online. Here is Luke and Ben on the other side of the table. And you want to talk about lighting, both with this piece and the Han and Chewbacca piece. I really concentrated on the lights and the darks.
Yeah, and the shadows behind as well, sort of, because they'd be in the background, won't they? So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Is unbelievable.
So
that's your favourite one, is it? Out of everything you've done,
it is. It's my favorite Star Wars piece. There's some you catch that gossamer, and it just turns out right where every other piece I look at and I go, well, I could have improved that. I could improve this. I could improve that. But that oh, thank you. Oh yeah, blow that up. There you go. That's the missing piece there.
There we go.
Look at the hair on Chewbacca, right? Can you not comb that right now?
Yeah.
Now again, I am not when I talk about my art, I always talk about it as though someone else did it. Because it really is kind of a transcendental experience when I'm creating these paintings. The brush in my hand is moving, but I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. It literally is just coming out of my fingertips. And there you can see the vibrancy of the colors. It's kind of a hallmark of my painting now. I'm colorblind. I've spent the last 10 years trying to teach myself how to paint in color where I could not see. So I'm very proud of the color that I'm mixing and giving some diffusion to the backgrounds where you have that push away where the backgrounds get a little more blurry. I wasn't really happy with this one with his face, but I painted it exactly how he appears in this frame of film.
I know what you mean.
He's got.
Yeah. I've done it myself in my own pictures.
Say that again.
I'm saying I've done it myself with my own pictures like this. I think it's just where you have your own sort of level of expectation, and when something doesn't meet, that's probably why you love the Luke one so much, because it just went so perfect for you. So you're like, that's like my favorite piece.
Yeah, I mean, if you pull up this screenshot, that is exactly what Wurr looks like. He's got kind of a distorted look to his face, and it's heavily shadowed, and his nose is askew. But from a viewer that doesn't know that character intimately, it looks like I did a really bad job of painting his face. So, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But that is that character.
If you was to put a photo next to it, it'd be exactly the same. That's what while we're on the Daryl, I was going to say, while we're on the art topic, my friend's question is art based, the animation one. Is that right? Do you mind if I ask you that now? It's a 2-part question. It's quite long.
Absolutely.
He said, "What would your advice be to people who have a natural talent for art but are told by non-creative people to get a real job and give up on their art?" He said he was told growing up from both of his parents and job centre employees that animation is just a hobby and not a real job. Yet he pursued the path even when it was an uphill struggle through depression. And now he's got a job in stop motion amateurs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
First of all, that's awesome. So congratulations to that on that. Because any way that us artists can express our creativity, our soul, any way that we can express that creatively is a tremendous reward. I very easily could have been a musician. I could have been a sculptor. I could have been an actor. This chose me. I have strongly that same experience that your friend had. I was told by everyone, as close as my parents, that this is a fool's errand. Artists don't make money. It's no way that you're going to starve. You're literally going to be painting paintings on a sidewalk and trying to sell them out of a cardboard box. And that everyone I knew, pretty much my entire life, had tried to dissuade me from doing what I was placed on this planet to do. And I know that is the story with creatives all over I don't know about all over the world, but at least here in the States. I seem to think art is appreciated globally more than it is here in the States, but I don't know about that. It's never too late. Listen, I waited. I was 45. I was 45, 43 years old. I'd had a 25-year career in art before Disney called. I had starved for the first 10 years. I started selling my first professional art when I was still in high school. I was lucky enough to be noticed by a gallery and create art for them. And it was good. It wasn't good money, but it was money. I was earning right away. It took me until I was about 40 till I really started making a living where, I could, have like a career. So first of all, it doesn't happen in 15 minutes. There are cases where it does, lightning in the bottle, but art is cultivated. Creativity is cultivated. It's not just bestowed. You're given this talent, but the onus is on you to develop it, to find your niche. Creating art is not enough. You have to perform. You have to get it out there. You have to improve. Every day is an improvement. I look at art that I did. Wrecking my house now out of just my passion. You cannot create art and keep it in your own little box. You have to set it out into the world. You have to set your price. You have to set your value. You have to stay by that. You have to be willing to starve, get your electricity shut off, lose everything for this. And now, again, this is my experience. I forego having children, because I knew that I would not be able to support a family in my 20s, and maybe even into my 30s. I didn't know, on art. I knew it was risky, but I knew that, damn it, I was good enough. I would be good enough. I wasn't good enough back then, but I had what it took in here to become good enough that people would notice and pay me. And along with that, you have to be grateful for every opportunity that you get. Every opportunity is another step to build your resume, to build your portfolio, to become a better artist and become a better human, and set beauty out into the world. I need to read you this because this just happened yesterday, and this has the changing the ideal of what an artist is from the time I was 17 years old has been probably my number one goal. Even though I was living in a one-room apartment as big as this little area that I'm in right now. I mean, it's as big as this screen. I was 20 years old, living in this apartment. I had no car. I had the heat was shut off. I was eating cat food to survive. But I knew in those darkest moments that if I stayed the course and I trusted the system and I believed in myself, that it would pay dividends.
Yeah.
I don't brag, but I'm telling you this, I'm telling your friend this as a point of hope. I'm 52 years old. I easily have another 50 years of doing this in me. I am on the top of my mountain, quite literally, but figuratively as well.
Yeah.
I now can create the art when I want, for who I want. I work harder than I ever worked. But I'm no longer now that 20-year-old eating cat food in a cold, tiny, damp, dark little apartment. The properties that we're looking at in Santa Barbara are millions of dollars to purchase. That can happen for you. If that is your goal, if that is your desire to create art, to earn a living, to become the person inside that you want to be, but to set these beautiful things out and have them appreciated, it can happen.
Yeah.
You just have to continue
as well.
You just have to continue to work and ignore anyone that's going to get in your way, and you're going to fail. I have failed miserably hundreds of times over. I have a sketch today that I've got to readjust because I didn't get it right. It didn't pass the approvals through the IP holders, and I've got to redo it. It's not a bad thing. I embrace that. It makes me a better artist. Disney really helped to make me a better artist because they're so stringent on what they require from their artists, and you have to be so good. And it pushed me to become that good. But changing the idea of what an artist can be and is has always been a goal of mine. I need to read this. I just had this. I posted this on my Facebook yesterday, and it pertains exactly to you. One of my greatest joys is speaking to young people about realizing a life full of creativity, freedom of self-expression, and give them the courage to pursue careers in art. We creatives, we don't tear down. Our art is not meant for only a lucky few. Anyone can have this. Every day we set out on a new journey to bring beautiful things to the world. It's a life spent fulfilling the wildest dreams of our pre-programmed childhoods, right? We are among the bravest people of all because we refuse to just do things the right way or follow a path that's already cleared. You know, I was supposed to be like a teacher or a football coach or something. We dare to do what few will have the courage to do. We don't watch life go by through an office window. We live fully, and we don't answer to anyone. And then we share these discoveries of our adventures with the world. I love being able to instill those possibilities in young people by telling them my story. And today, once again, is one of those days. I'm so excited and so grateful for that. It is a very difficult thing to do, to pursue your creative ventures. It is dark, it is lonesome, but the highs are extremely high, and you have to be grateful for every little bit of high you get. And the more grateful you are, the more dedicated you are, the more that you believe that you will reach your mountaintop, you will reach your mountaintop. I am living proof. I am colorblind. I am untrained. I have a high school education. I have rheumatoid arthritis that I got when I was 24 years old. I had everything stripped from me that made me want to pursue art. And against all of that, I've reached my mountaintop, and I'm not anything special. I just believe and work really, really, really hard. Way back when, 25 years ago, when I had a regular job, I'd work that regular job 40 hours a week to support my art, which I also did 40 hours a week. It will never become a full-time gig if you don't spend full-time hours at it. And the younger you are, the easier it is. I did that in my 30s, where I gave up everything, lost everything, sold everything to be able to pursue this the right way and with everything that I have.
James, I hope your mate listens to this for what.
Yeah, he will. He will.
That was just inspiring.
Because he suffered with a bit similar sort of issues. I think he's, how old is he, Steve? I think he's 40 now. I think he's late 30s, maybe 40. I think he's a little bit older than us, and he's got a passion for art, but for more so for the armatures. And stop motion.
Harryhausen's.
Huge Harryhausen fan. He's actually worked on the Harryhausen Foundation for something, and he's had some doors open up, but not quite enough to sort of get him a career as such until this year. And he's been lucky enough to finally been given the opportunity, and he's absolutely embracing it and loving it. And one of the other questions he actually asked was, who inspired you to get into art when you was younger, to follow the dreams that you've done so far?
Well, I was often inspired by, and I hate to say it, creatives of other. From an art standpoint, I loved Merv Corning, Charles Schultz, and I know that really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing now, but it didn't matter. It was the spirit of the artist, the storytelling. Norman Rockwell. I don't have a great art education, so I can't name the masters off the top of my head. I wasn't influenced by them because it was so far out of reach, but I was influenced by athletes. I was influenced by musicians. I was influenced by actors, people that were living their creative life and becoming wealthy and becoming famous and becoming complete humans because of it. So I derive a lot of inspiration from other types of creative people. Walt Disney failed over and over and over again. Walt did not break through until he was in his 50s. Think about that. Really, we think Walt, was always, Walt, but he did not break through. He didn't become a master until he was in his 50s. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, those masters did not become masters until they were in their 50s. It's not too late for this gentleman you're talking about. Take that opportunity and give it everything you have, man. Give it everything you have. And if that's not the right one, that's okay, because they always lead to the next. I knew immediately when I signed my Disney contract that any other art, and I know a lot of them. I know a lot of my Disney artist friends. They're done. This is it. This is the top of their mountain. Disney was only. I said that I let myself have about a day, and then I said to my fiance, "Well, what's next? Where are we going to go next? What mountain can I freaking climb after this one?" And I just keep creating, keep being true to your creative soul, and believe in yourself.
Yeah. Talking of mountains, that looks like a Bob Ross picture behind you. Is that one of yours, or is that actually?
This back here.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous. I told you I don't paint in oils, but I appreciate oil painting so much, and I found this here in the mountains at an estate sale. I got it for $10.
Wow.
I derive, so I have art like that all over my house and in storage. All the art that I collected back in Florida. I don't have any of my own stuff hanging. I derive inspiration and pleasure from other artists. So
yeah,
Bob Ross was not a great artist.
He was funny.
is not a great artist. What we are great marketers. And sometimes you have to be just good enough and to get those opportunities. And then through those opportunities, I think that you can become great. But Bob Ross was magnificent at the entire product that he put forth. And his legend is now living on. And how can you not love that, right? Walt Disney was not a tremendous artist. He was a tremendous visionary.
Yeah.
And he dipped to those strengths and followed that path. And
as Chris has put, a viewer now, he's just put, inspiration can come from anywhere, and that's the greatest thing. And he's bang on just, and as you said, if you stay positive and you keep trying, eventually it will come.
It will.
And that's it. And for your mate, as I said, James, for your mate that's cracked through this year, hopefully goes on and on from what he's doing now as well. As it's great. It's great for people like yourself that have just kept going.
Yeah.
And as you'll keep going, which is great for us as well, because we get to enjoy what you do.
Thank you.
And I know for myself, sort of speaking to you now for probably 4 years or so, and viewing your stuff, and James and Jamie and Steve, probably just quite recently, since the last time we probably spoke, for Jamie and James especially, and my friend Erin, who's bought stuff off you, just to show them your art as well. It's great because they all love it. And fantastic.
When it all comes down to it, Daryl, that is the highest honor. It is gratefulness beyond words. I've said this before. I didn't realize I started selling art when I was 17 years old. And for many years, I did not appreciate the full impact of people taking something that you've created and then hanging it in this place where they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on, right? Your home. They're giving me real estate in this place where they make memories with their families, where they live every day, they dream, they eat, they share. I have real estate in people's homes. What higher compliment could you possibly get? And that was only evident to me after I bought my first house. I was like, well, what am I going to put on the wall? It's not my shit. I'm going to start bleep. I'm going to put other people's art. But I was very careful to select what art I was putting on the walls, and to think, wow, since I was 17 years old, some kid selling drawings, and putting those, decorating their homes with them. My God, I am forever in debt to these.
It's great. As I said to you last time, I actually won a piece of your art off the Disney movie hour.
Oh, wonderful.
I won a tiki piece, which where we're living now, it's not up, but especially when we get our own place, it will be. I love it. And you're right, it's great for you to see that as well. But I'm sure the boys will keep a lookout on for everything you've got now.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially. While I know we've just gone off the topic of Star Wars a little bit, and the last time we spoke was just before The Rise of Skywalker got released.
Yeah.
Now, we have arguments about this film with Jamie constantly. Me and Jamie, we love to hate each other. We are the biggest frenemies going. So it's sort of similar to me and James. What was your thoughts on that film and that trilogy as a whole? Because we've got so many different thoughts on that, especially with how good the original trilogy was and stuff like that. So,
I have to look at through a couple different lenses. Through the artist lens, I look at it, and the marketing lens, I look at it and say, what a wonderful way to bring new generations into this story. I think that I love the literal galaxy of heroes now. We've got representation of all different types of people being represented as heroes. And I think that's so important in our culture now. So I love that about it. Yeah. I love the promise of what the future will hold, and I love the tentacles, the Mandalorian series and the Obi-Wan series. I love the tentacles that are now being blossomed and groomed from our original trilogy. Luke, to me, has always been the ultimate optimist, and I was a little bummed out at how they treated Luke. I don't think Luke would, just my opinion, I'm Luke freaking Skywalker, man. I am the eternal optimist, you know? I know that I've got this special thing about me, and gosh darn it, I was going to prove it to the universe that I was the best. And I'm still working on that, by the way. What I did not do, what I have not done, is quit. I would not sequester I sequester myself in the freaking woods here, but this is my Dagobah, man. This is where I've learned my true power with this thing, right? I've learned to really paint. I've learned to really storytell while I've been here. I've really learned to expand and put my soul into my art. This is my Dagobah. What I won't have is taking myself and sticking myself on a desolate island somewhere alone for the rest of my life and not using the gifts that were bestowed on me. That's never going to happen. And I don't think it would have ever happened with Luke. I just don't buy the stowing himself away and shutting him off from the universe that he was put there to save over and over and over again. So that I have a conflict with. Do I like Luke's final act? Sure, I do. Sure, it makes sense. But that loss of faith that Luke had, I don't buy into. I just don't. It's not the spirit of who I believe Luke Skywalker was.
That is a better argument in 2 minutes that you've given me than Jamie has given me in a year and a half.
I can back you up there, Daryl.
That is a better argument, and you've put me more on Jamie's wavelength in 2 minutes than he has done since Force Awakens come out.
Well,
but that is you bang on. You bang on.
An interesting view is KJ. My wife has literally watched all nine films for the first time this year since Christmas.
Oh.
And her favourite trilogy is actually the latest trilogy, and I think it's more down to special effects rather than necessarily. I think it's what it is with her is the old ones. They mean a lot to our generation because we've grown up with them. But if you haven't grown up with them, you can look at them and think, "Yeah, that looks so fake. That special effects look so dated."
Yeah.
Darth Vader's hat's flapping in the wind. Little things like that.
That's why the prequels, the sequels that have come out now, you bang on, James. The people that are watching it for the first time now, it is a brand new story to them, technically. All right, you meet Han and Chewie and Leia and Luke again, but the new people, Rey, Finn, BB-8, it's a new story to them. That's why they love it. It's new. It looks brand new. It looks like New Hope would have done for you, KJ, all those years ago. Force Awakens, when I watched that the first time, it made me fall in love with Star Wars all over again. What it was. All right, there are problems with the whole trilogy itself, but I actually adore the trilogy as a whole, just because I love the whole canon of Star Wars. And I think that's why Jamie's got a problem with it, because he loves the canon of Star Wars as well, but he doesn't agree with where it went. But and everyone, Star Wars will always give people opinions, and it's great to argue. And I'll argue with anyone about something.
And every story is told from a different point of view. You know, my interpretation of my story, you know, my fiance may tell my story and it could be wildly different from the story that I tell about myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, we all view these fantasies and these stories from different points of view. We pluck from them what speaks to us. And for some people, much like our discussion about living with the land, you know, there are some people that go looking for thrill and adventure. There's other people that go looking to be immersed in a different environment and try and feel that, you know, try and live in that environment for that 2 minutes they're on that ride or whatever it is. So I see film, you know, Peter Tadone, you referenced Daryl, and Peter's a good friend, and we've had wonderful discussions about film. I look at things so differently than he does, and he really prompts me to think deeper about film and story than I did before, and it's because he's just coming at it from his own different stories. So I love the vitality of conversation that can be had around art. It's art, and art is viewed different by everyone's eye.
Yeah,
and I love.
You can say exactly the same thing with podcasts. Some people like you, some people don't like you. It's
I know where I'm at, Daryl.
Yeah, that's it. But say you were talking about Pete and Melissa. I love that podcast, and I've listened to them for a long time, and I've sort of sent links to the boys as well. And Pete is one of the, especially with film, one of the most knowledgeable people I've listened to about films.
Yeah,
and how he takes things, and especially with Marvel and Star Wars, he's so clued up on everything. It's fantastic to listen to.
Yeah.
In a whole different way. While we're on sort of Pete, just moving on, one last question before we talk sport with you.
Yes.
I'm listening to their series at the moment about WandaVision, and we're all watching WandaVision and doing our own WandaVision series on YouTube. Are you watching it?
Oh yeah. I'm all in on Marvel. I am all in on Marvel. Tony Stark spoke to me. Really, yeah. He's super. Iron Man came into my life just at the perfect time. At the perfect time to speak to me for inspiration and his evolution as a human that was a very self-centered human. Rewind the clock 15 years and Kevin John was extremely arrogant. I was at the top of the sports world, making the money I wanted to make, doing this, living the celebrity life within that sports world, arrogant, not grateful, super like I'm the shit, and I'm only going to get better, and I've gone through this tremendous transformation over these last 12 years, kind of along with Tony, not really even knowing it. You only see things 2020 after you go through it all. But I've become a tremendously grateful human and appreciative of opportunities that I have and everything. Where 15 years ago, I'm like, well, yeah, I got all this. Why don't I have more? Why don't I? Don't you know who I am? That kind of arrogance I had, and I had to shed that. And so I've walked that story with Tony really hand in hand. It's really been quite amazing. And to see him at the end, just give himself up for the entire planet, where I remember Cap saying to him, "You're not the guy that would lay down on the wire for everybody else." And Tony goes, "No, I cut the wire." Well, yeah. So not the point that Cap was making.
Yeah.
And Tony, he didn't cut the wire. He laid down on that wire. And what an amazing journey, and to leave that legacy. So Marvel has probably affected me more than any other type of art that I've viewed over the last 20 years. It really, so I'm all in. WandaVision is brilliant. Again, you've got, all right, so we made this thing, made all the money we can with this thing. How can we possibly make more money and still stay true to the art form? And they're doing a brilliant job with these tentacle stories for all these characters and everything. And then the jaw dropping about how it now fits into the story even more. Like, yeah, boom, mind blown. I'm doing art. I freaking love it. I love it.
I didn't think I'd find a program on Disney Plus like Marvel or Star Wars program that I loved more than Mandalorian, especially season 2. That was incredible, and we've all seen it and loved it. But WandaVision right now has just taken my full attention because it's different.
Yeah.
Steve
hasn't watched it yet. Steve's going to watch it at the end, but it's just caught my attention in such a way. We don't see things like this anymore, like the 50s sitcoms, black and white, and then changing. It's just how they've done it, and that is, you've got to give Marvel such amount of praise for how they're doing it right now. Yeah. People would say, "Do we need this? Give me as much Marvel as you want. I'll watch it."
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
Right, let's move on to sport, especially the NFL, because we've just had the Super Bowl weekend. As we said, James has watched his first full game. What a game to see Tom Brady go, the greatest of all time, when his seventh Super Bowl. So me and you are Patriots fans. We've spoken a lot about sport in the past on the podcast. Steve, you're a 49ers fan, is that right?
Ooh, 49ers.
49ers. Yeah. Jamie is unlucky to him, a Falcons fan.
Buccaneers fan now these days.
Buccaneers fan over there. For how good was that? Not just performance as a team. We'll come on to that. That Tom Brady performance. Yes. He's 43 now. He's the greatest ever, right?
He is unequivocally the finest athlete that I've ever watched. Now Jordan had drive, Jordan had skill, but Jordan had skill upon skill upon skill. Tom Brady is a potato. He is a potato that's turned himself into a filet mignon, right? I mean, he is a master manifester. A more confident person you're not going to find. And again, as I said earlier, I think that's half of any of this. Hard work, confidence. You got to believe in yourself. You got to work hard. Yeah. And the guy is tireless at that. And a master manifester. He sees and points in a direction he wants to go. He knows the long game, and he does everything that he has to do to get there. Not only that, but he can get people to buy in and bring them along with him. He went to a garbage team, took the Patriot way, which is the Bill and Tom Brady way, right? And turned this ball club, brought some key components in, and turned this ball club into this profound force where everyone plays their role. And their role could be awfully, I mean, Antonio Brown. I mean, when Antonio Brown was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, oh my goodness, the guy's a client. He's insanely arrogant, and it's like you can't even be in the same room as the guy. But this evolution of this human that you've seen being in the presence of Tom, being tutored by Tom. What did he have? 2 catches in a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
And yet he was humble and appreciative and grateful for those 2 catches that he had, where when he was with Pittsburgh, if he wasn't getting 10, 15 touches a game, he was in Roethlisberger's ear and everything. So it's buying into that philosophy that Tom brought to the table, and the manifestation of, we're going to give all of ourselves for the greater good of the team, and we're all gonna wear a ring when it's all said and done, if you just follow me. And so but the brilliance of the coaching, let's not forget about that. Bill Belichick's fantastic, amazing tactician, but there were some things that Bill was missing over these last few years that I think Tom saw, and they were able to implement that. I said immediately, my friend called me the day before, and he goes, "So how's your boy TB gonna do?" I'm like, "He's got it, man." He's like, "Yeah, but Pat Mahomes." I'm like, "Pat Mahomes is amazing. He's got talent. But if they can keep this guy running around on a bad foot through the entire first half, let him run all over the place. By the end of the third quarter, he will be limping." They beat the heck out of him for 3 quarters. He had nothing left in the tank. He had 475 yards on the ground in the first half. Run around on that bad foot, bro. We're just gonna build a little containment area. Run around, young man. Run that foot right off your leg. And that's what they did. Defensively, back up, let them catch passes in front, come up, make solid tackles, frustrate them. And then there's Tom on the offense. Pick, just chipping away a little bit, frustrating them, and then using that psychological game that Tom does so well. The guy that I was worried most about was the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu of the Chiefs at safety. The guy is amazing. I said, if Tom can get into that guy's head and get him out of his game, and what did Tom do? Immediately went right after him. And you've seen Brady do this throughout his career. And he can take someone right off of their game, where the superior athletes, these supermen, never have a good game against Tom Brady. It's always some guy that gets lucky with a tipped ball and a pick at the end of the game or something like that. So again, schematically, I think they did a fantastic job. One of the finest choreographically,
you've got to give
schematically planned football games I've ever watched, and I love it. I mean,
you've got to give Todd Bowles as much praise as anyone there. That to as you say, to keep Mahomes quiet. Me and Steve spoke about before, and me and Jamie spoke about, like, there's a lot of us that do fantasy football. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now.
Right.
If you look at it on every way, to keep him quiet, he's never had a game through college and his pro career without scoring a touchdown. You've got to give Todd Bowles every bit of credit you can.
Absolutely.
Let's face it, that Super Bowl was the Buccaneers versus Mahomes.
Without a doubt.
100%.
You know what? Just from my perspective, that has not got a clue. Literally, I was texting these guys what are the rules while I was watching it. That's what it felt like from my perspective as well. And that's not even like all I can remember from their team. And he's the only player that I can remember, because I remember saying to Daryl in particular, the angles that guy was throwing balls at was ridiculous. He was getting taken off the back foot with his feet off the floor, still launching the ball at an angle and still finding the guys. Well, nearly finding them most of the time. Yeah. But I was just thinking, how is he still managing to get, these? So he did, to me, just from watching, I could tell that there was something about him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know to what level. I didn't know he was, from what you were saying, the best in the league after Tom.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, his athletic ability is superior. His intelligence is superior. His ability to know exactly what his body is going to do and what that ball is going to do when he releases it. But he grew up. Think about this again now. Back to the manifestation and finding that person who you really are. This is a kid who grew up with two parents that were superior athletes, who probably brought him along with the belief in manifestation and believing in yourself and doing the work that you need to do. Yes, you have to have a lot of natural ability. But let me tell you, I've been around a lot of professional athletes, and especially football players. The average career is 2.5 to 3 years for the average football player, and insanely athletic individuals, insanely athletic gods, right? Who get bounced out of the sport because they don't have those extra components of belief of the soul and being calm. Pat was getting the heck beat out of him, and the kid remained calm the entire game. And Pat Mahomes didn't lose that game. Pat Mahomes did it as good as he could have done with what that defense of the Buccaneers gave him. And let's not forget that moreover than any other player on that field, I said the guy that's going to be the difference maker is Devin White, the linebacker for the
unbelievable.
I said if those linebackers smash Kelsey every time he comes out of his stance, no free releases, beat the heck out of Kelsey, take care of that, and then let Devin White's speed just go sideline to sideline. And as Devin White went, that's how that defense was going to go, and it was spot on. I mean, it was
and double teaming Tyreek Hill as well.
That exactly. Slide that safety over. Let everybody in the stadium know why clown the coverage, right? The guy is. They literally call him the cheetah for a reason, because he's faster than everybody else on the field, more athletic than anyone else on the field, and teams constantly clown their coverages to try and fool Pat Mahomes into that's not double coverage. It may be, it could be. Slide the safety over there, show the whole stadium he's double covered, and then let everybody else do their job. And if everyone else holds their water, good things will happen. And 9 points. 9 points.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
James, I heard you say then, why is it so short? There's a lot of reasons for it. Remember, it's a very physical game. The amount of hits they're getting per game is ridiculous. You've got thousands of, well, hundreds of colleges countrywide that are sending people to the draft. The 53 men on a roster. There's so many people, and if you're not up to scratch, these teams cut you. It's not like the Premier League where if you have a bad run, you're going to get into another team.
Yeah.
If you're not good enough, you're out, and it's very hard to get another chance.
Okay, fair enough. So that just makes even more so that I guess that someone like Tom Brady, who have only just come in, like, what an achievement that is then.
Which 20, is that 22 years now? 20,
that long.
21 years. Yeah.
You've got to have something special then, haven't you, really?
And he's only missed one season through injury in 21 years.
Yeah. I heard you was talking about how a quarterback might get into the mindset of someone else. Like, how would they do that?
It's different. It's different for every player. And I both played high school football, but I coached at the high school level, grade school and high school level as well. And then I did a lot of clinics and been around with pro and college sports for a long time. I did color commentary on the radio and everything. I love footballs, and art is what I do for a living. That's in
what you enjoy.
So you just do some homework on you got to watch a lot of film on the tendencies of the other players, but also, and now with the internet, you can really figure out the psychology of key players on the other side of the field from you. And as a superior athlete as Tom Brady is, he understands the psychology of a Tyrann Mathieu, a guy who is a superior athlete that does superior things, that is strong of mind, is strong of soul. And you just a lot of times quarterbacks they won't throw at those guys. They won't take the chance and throw at those guys because they are so superior. They know that there's less than a 50-50 chance that they're going to be successful throwing to a receiver that's covered by a Tyrann Mathieu. Well, Tom doesn't do that. Tom goes right at a guy. So now you have a guy in Tyrann Mathieu that maybe fell asleep a little bit because he's not used to being thrown at. And now he's got it covered. Holy crap. This guy is throwing bullets past me. And now you beat him once or you beat him twice. Couple little passes underneath where he's got to come up and make a tackle rather than bat that pass away. And now he's in his head. I'm coming at you. Look,
yeah, keeping them guessing.
And now you have the world, and Matthews knows he's got the world watching him. Oh my God, Tom Brady completed 3 passes on my guy, and now a guy like that. Now he puffs up his chest, and now he's got to prove to Tom Brady that he is superior. So he takes chances. Right? They're running the ball. He's got to come up and make that hit faster than anybody else. He'll bite on the second move because he's being more aggressive, because that's the nature when you challenge an athlete like that. That's the nature of a guy like Tyrann Mathieu. And Tyrann talks. Well, Tom was talking right back, not backing down. And it just gets into a guy like that. That nose tackle that they had that kept jumping off sides, and the guard would give him extracurriculars, Tom was in his face. You get a guy thinking about how angry they are at you for doing what they just did to you or saying what they just did, and they're not thinking about their responsibilities. All of a sudden there's a wide receiver blowing past them when they're looking for the run or looking to hit Tom or looking for that easy pick. It's brilliant. There is a psychology about the game that Bill Belichick uses all the time, and it's just masterful. It's a lot more than just kicking or throwing a ball around a field. There is so much more that goes into the sport of football, which is why I just love it so much.
I'm starting to learn that because that's the sort of angle I had from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more question from me about football. I don't know if Steve or James has got anything, or Jamie, who's on the chat. Now, we've seen, obviously, Tom leave for the Buccaneers, which hurt me inside deeply, and even more so when Gronk went as well.
Yeah.
Watching this year, it's still not a terrible year from us, really, considering where we are. People obviously missing out through COVID, injuries, the first quarterback change we've had in 20-odd years. Can Bill get this team right to be relevant again going forward in the next 2 years.
Yeah. What Tom and Bill did together is a phenomenon. It won't be matched again for a long time. But you see what Tom did with the right pieces around him in the right situation that he chose, right? Tom's very smart about it. He just didn't take the money and go to the Detroit Lions, right? I mean, he went to a situation where he knew he could be successful with the components and the money that they had to bring people in. I think Bill is very much the same way. Bill was not this past season for Bill Belichick. There was no way he was going to win no matter what he did. You just don't replace a legend like Tom Brady, especially where you've built so much of your team around him. I also think Bill likes the challenge. You've got to. Tom left. Tom could have stayed. They could have had 3 more rings. It could have been right off into the sunset with 9 rings or whatever, and been amazing. And that would have been the story. But Tom had to make it hard on himself. I'm going to go to a place where it's hot. I know no one. And rebuild from the ground up. I often say that I make things difficult on myself because you have to. At some point, you have to prove your mettle. And I think that's what Bill did. I think Bill has said, you know what? I'm going to strip this team down to nothing. We're not going to have any all-stars, and we're going to build it from the ground up again. And in 2 years, I'll be collecting rings again. I think it's the nature of that personality, of that archetype person, that at some point you got to tie your hands behind your back and see if you can MacGyver, see if you can Houdini, see if you can get out of it and prove it again, especially without the greatest quarterback in the world. Right?
Now, a follow-on from that, so obviously without Cam, I thought done a great job last year. Throw him away, he's not. He's not the thrower that he used to be.
Yes.
Going forward, now I'm not going to put Deshaun Watson into this question because we'd all take Deshaun Watson in a heartbeat because he's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
What quarterback, if you were Bill, would you go get? Because personally, for myself, and the way Bill was in the past, I'd go get Jimmy Garoppolo.
I was about to say Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Providing he's not injured for the whole season like this year.
And he's injury prone. He's been injury prone since you've got the Pats.
Yeah.
You keep Cam. You bring in a guy like like a Brian Hoyer that can carry the water for a game or two. You keep Cam Newton. Cam will sign for next to no money again. I think Cam loves being there, and I think Bill loves Cam. But Cam has his limitations, and I think Matt Ryan's garbage.
Nice comment. All day.
He's had Matt Ryan has had more Pro Bowl receivers and more Pro Bowl offensive linemen, and can't get the job. Matt Ryan's garbage. Matty Ice, whatever. Go serve ice cream, bro. Jimmy Garoppolo is handpicked. I understand, and I said, let Jimmy go, become Jimmy. Let him go and do it. Break his bones, earn his meals. Let him run his own thing, and then he gets to come back home and win more rings with Bill. And I think a Jimmy Garoppolo and Cam Newton combination would be very interesting. You're now taking the 2 very diverse styles that we have in the NFL now, this athletic, almost like a wing T type of a quarterback, this read option situation with Cam Newton, which can be very effective. But now you've also got this passer, and I've never been a fan of the dual quarterback type of thing. But if Cam is brought in for situations a lot like they do with the kid in Hill, the kid in
Tyson Hill.
Tyson Hill down in St. Saints, that type of a thing, I wouldn't mind. But I think Garoppolo, I think barring injury, I think that's why you still have like a Brian Hoyer or a Cam Newton to back him up. But I think Jimmy is the perfect quarterback to come back, and I think that he can deliver, at least getting us to the dance. I'd love to see a Garoppolo Brady.
That'd be unbelievable. And
frankly, Brady and the Bucks have to go to New England this year on the regular schedule. So
We were out there. We were meant to be out there at the end of this year. We were hoping to sort of get to I was hoping to get to a Bucks game even more now to see Brady, but obviously we're not going now. But that I'd have done anything to have seen Brady at Foxborough one more time, and to get to watch it next year on TV would be brilliant as well.
Yeah, I think
as long as he gets the right reception.
Say again.
As long as he gets the right reception from fans. If there's anything bad, it'll ruin it. But him and Gronk going home will be fantastic.
Yeah, and I think the fans will. There's not going to be hate there. There's just I listen to a lot of sports talk radio from New England, and the last couple of days has been nothing but love. It was a win for all of us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it validated our support of Tom Brady for the last 20 years. When everybody says cheater, Deflategate, blah 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 blah, he's paying off the refs, this and that. It's all Belichick. What he did Sunday validated our fandom for Tom and our belief in Tom. So, yeah.
Have you read the Dynasty book?
Man like me, he's learning as he goes.
Have you read the Dynasty book that got brought out last year about the Patriots dynasty?
No, I have not.
I actually listened to it on Audible recently, and if I think I can share it for free with someone else, I'll send it over to you. That is fantastic.
Oh, that would be awesome.
There's a lot of sort of kissing ass, I'd say, to the because it is a Patriots book, but learning the story of Deflategate, Spygate, Brady's hand injury before the Jaguars game the other year, brilliant. Just to hear that insight is fantastic, and if I can, I'll send it over to you for sure. Steve, James, Jamie, have you got any questions for KJ before we start wrapping things up?
Well, I don't know. I reckon the next time we talk, KJ, I'll probably be a bit more of a football fan. So hopefully, I'm gonna pursue this as my first year when they start up again. When did you say it was, Daryl? September or something?
September will be. Yeah, you've obviously got the draft coming up, all that stuff coming up, which is great.
These Sunday, keep me in the loop all the time anyway. So
this first Sunday is the worst Sunday of the year.
Yeah.
We have 17, potentially 22 Sundays in a row, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
And then, especially for us here, where it's later in the day, so it's 6 o'clock starting the evening here, all the way through till sort of 4 o'clock.
Oh.
And it's fantastic. And a lot of the stuff I'm watching and go work, and it's just our Sunday evenings. It sort of gets you through. Mm-hmm. We've now got all this time with no football going forward for 7 months. Sundays become like there's nothing to watch in the evening now. Like all my Sundays geared up to football, and there's a group of us that are in fantasy leagues together, and I do dynasty, and it just takes up so much of my time. I love it, and this is the worst time of the year now, especially how cold it is over here as well. It's not nice. It's great. I can't wait for it to get back, and the draft is one of the best nights of the year as well. And just seeing teams build and free agency, and like this Deshaun Watson news is going to be big going forward as well. So one more thing, where do you think Deshaun will go? Do you think he'll leave, or do you think he'll stay?
Well, the team is saying they have no desire to trade him. Free agency is a weird world anymore. It seems like a few select players are getting boatloads of money, and then there's also people like Le'Veon Bell, who had to sit a whole year because no one wanted to pay the price that he thought his value was. So, and that also proved out that maybe other players can come in at less value, less price, and give you equal value. So it's a very interesting way that the league is right now. But the intrigue starts here in a few weeks with free agency again, and you mentioned the draft, and I'm going to be doing my homework. I'll look at all different players and prospecting and everything like that. And again, I kind of create my own scenarios, what I think will work. And then I love watching what Bill Belichick, for instance, does and see if that aligns, and why did he do that, and learning, and it's been incredible. So for sure, and I can't wait. I think that's it. Anything from you two boys?
No, I think
thanks for coming on. It's been
honestly
really great
conversation. Loved every minute of it, mate. Thank you again.
Fantastic, and thank you for showing us that art as well.
Am I allowed to show a couple sneak peeks real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is the Kevin John intellectual property stuff that I talked about earlier. I'm being involved with one property like this, but I've been working on concept sketches for like an old school B-movie 1950s sci-fi type of art, aliens and that sort of thing. So I've been really concentrating on storytelling first rather than what the art will look like, but what the stories of the art will be in telling this sci-fi aliens from other planets type of thing. Also, I'm able to homage a lot of my favorite B movies, old horror, old sci-fi movies in this art. So first time these are really being shown other than on my Facebook. So these are concept sketches for pieces of art that will turn into paintings for new Kevin John art that's going to be available to the public. So these are just really rough sketches, but these are some vintage campers, right? You see the old car with the alien invasion above in the night sky. This one I love. This one tells a lot of story. There you go. Right.
That's brilliant.
The alien heads there remind me of
I love that.
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Because guess what other Topps property owns Mars? I mean, guess what property owns Mars Attacks? Topps.
Excellent.
Guess who's working on an entire series of new Mars Attacks? Shh. That's a KJ exclusive. There you go. So there's that one.
That's funny. I like that.
So the theme is that they come at night, right? So this is all the initial landing and the initial approach of these aliens. So you're camping at night, you see them in the sky, you're laying in bed, all of a sudden they're outside your window.
Well, could you imagine that though? Freak you out, wouldn't it?
Here's another. They're coming at night. You wake up and there's this monster robot outside of your window.
I enjoy it.
Diversity there as well. I like that. Cool.
Now, again, remember that these are just rough concepts of telling the story. So this robot, obviously, is not going to look like that. It's just a placeholder for the idea. This one I love because you can't think of the 50s and 60s without thinking of tiki culture, right? Okay. And what goes hand in hand with tiki culture but sci-fi. So you have terror at the tiki bar.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The color in that as well.
Oh, thank you. It's just dirty water, really. It's just. I mean, it literally is dirty water that I just painted with, to just give it some background and everything. I mean, the originals will look similar to this, but there'll be a departure. It's just kind of the, like I say, the notion or the emotion behind it is what I try and capture in these initial sketches. So like that, the robot that was outside the window of the couple that was in bed, here, this is fleshing out that now we've got, maybe an idea of, maybe this robot isn't just standing there. Maybe it's this giant thing that's crouching down, looking in the window, right? Red lights and things. And so this is just the early development of this series. I've got about 30 sketches more that people will be able to see off and on my Facebook if you follow me there and stuff like that are starting to tell the story of this alien invasion and what it is if they do make contact, and are they here to do us harm, or are they just trying to talk to us? And it's a very interesting story that we're beginning to tell, and it really goes hand in hand with Mars Attacks, which is something else.
It is great that whole concept, because it's still, we're in 2021. It's still spoke about today. Is there stuff out there?
Yeah.
The last couple of years, it's taken on even more traction than what it has in the past.
Yeah.
And that's them paintings there, or them sketches that you've done were fantastic. And thank you so much for showing us those.
Thank you.
Seeing them, they were fantastic. And obviously, your KJ exclusive at the end It's great. We can't wait. All I'm going to say, KJ, is please can you send me the link to the WinterCon? We'll share that out everywhere, especially now. And I'll definitely try and watch as much as possible. And I'm sure you boys love all that stuff as well. And Jamie, so we'll try and get on. We'll share it out. We'll share your Facebook out. We'll share this out everywhere because I've enjoyed this 2 hours so much. Just speaking to you, as the same as the last few times we've spoken when we chat. It's fantastic, and to just sit here and listen to yourself with what you've done is fantastic. And I'm sure the boys feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Well, it all comes down to, I'm not here for any other reason because other than people like you have put me here. People have been collecting my art and supporting my art and telling companies like Disney and Marvel that they want Kevin John art. And I am forever grateful. And as often as I am given the opportunities to do things like this, to reach the fans, to talk to the fans, I am eternally grateful and honored for it. So I thank you guys so much. It is beyond, again, third grade Kevin John. Yeah, someday you're going to be drawing Star Wars stuff and you're going to be talking about people in another country about it. I am so incredibly grateful. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for obviously spending your time with us. It's been great. Jamie, it's a shame he's not been here with us, but thanks for obviously leaving comments and to KJ seeing him as he's gone. And thank you to Chris, who's also been watching. I'm sure there's been another couple people watching on the way. We're going to share this out everywhere because I'd love people to, especially your comments on James's friend and your journey. That was so inspiring. We're going to push that everywhere because that was so great for people to see that, especially young kids as well that are growing up, especially in this day and age of COVID where there's not many options out there for people at the moment. So that was fantastic. And just you being yourself, KJ, that was brilliant. Boys, thank you so much for joining me again. And obviously Jamie as well. We are back with a YouTube exclusive again on Friday or Saturday. We're going to do WandaVision episode 6. That'll be me, James, and Jamie until Steve catches up with WandaVision. And then
I think when he's getting
and then we're back next Thursday. We'll be recording again, so it'll be Monday week. We've got our second episode of our series with the parks, the Renaissance period. We are doing Rescuers Down Under, which James is very, very excited for. So that is us. Yeah, that is us. That is the best 2 hours I've had in a long time talking to people on the podcast. Normally I talk to these it's been mainly for a day. It's been fantastic. Cheers guys, that is us. You can find us everywhere on obviously YouTube, Mouse and His Pals, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us everywhere. That's us, and thank you so much. Cheers, KJ.
May the force be with you guys.
And also with you.